It's always the redheaded kid that's kicking people. I don't know what that's all about. You all in the 7-4 crew have been sending in a lot of aviation meme videos lately. So today we're doing aviation video memes. Coming up. Hey 7-4 crew, welcome back. If you don't know me, my name's Kelsey. I'm a 747 pilot. My channel 7-4 Gear is all about aviation. In the last aviation meme video, I asked you guys to start sending me aviation meme videos because I thought it'd be cool to make one video with all of them in one spot. If you find more aviation memes that you want to see on one of these videos, the easiest way to do it is just send it to my Instagram. Keep sending those in, but for now, let's get into it. It's always the redheaded kid that's kicking people. I don't know what that's all about. I've never seen a first class like that. I've never seen a first class like that now. Obviously back in the 60s and 70s they had some pretty swanky first class lounges, but there's really nothing that swanky now like you'd have maybe in the 60s or 70s. But a funny story about something similar that happened was I was traveling internationally. It was probably like a 10 or 11 hour flight and I was traveling in business class. They do close those curtains, but sometimes those curtains are mesh, and that means the people on the other side can see you. Well, I had just spent 4 or 5 hours sleeping. I got up to go to the bathroom. As I was getting to the back to go to the bathroom, I could see that there was this guy sitting in the middle seat in the coach area. He had nowhere to sleep. It was the middle of the night, and I've done that before. I've done a 12-hour flight in coach in the middle, and it is, you'd pay anything to get a little bit of sleep. He couldn't sleep at all. You could just see it on his face how irritated he was, and I was just walking into the bathroom thinking, I know exactly how you feel. Of course, he was probably thinking, God, I hate that guy! But that is one of the advantages of traveling for work, is that if we're doing a long international flight, they put us in business or first class when we're traveling, because if we gotta sleep and then get somewhere and then maybe have a short rest and then operate, they don't want us to be super tired. If you are sitting in coach and you see somebody coming back from first class that's walking into the bathroom, before you start thinking horrible thoughts of who they are, just realize it could be a normal guy like me that's wearing a hoodie that's just going to work.
And I'd choose you in 100 lifetimes. I'd choose you.
It's a sweet girl.
In 100 worlds, I'd find you.
No.
And I'd say I do.
I wonder how many flight attendants have seen this meme. If you drink the coffee that the flight attendants make for you, it's kind of like this. The reason I say that is because the water that they use for the coffee, it comes from the belly of the plane, which is not cleaned very much. It's a special tank and they clean it, but I wouldn't say it's super hygienic. For the most part, I don't think flight attendants would give you toilet water, but that just goes to show you how nice you should be to your flight attendants, because they are bringing you your food and your drinks while you're flying, so just keep that in mind. No. Making no corrections at all. I know a lot of the pilots that were off for a bunch of time were worried about this kind of thing happening, but the sad thing about this video is you could think, oh, maybe it was a really windy or gusty day, but if we rewind this, you're going to see that the windsock is totally deflated, so there's literally no wind. They're just seesawing down the runway, which means they probably came in too fast. You would think after you do something a bunch of times that you wouldn't have any problem like that. After 3 months of not flying, that it would be rusty. But if I take, let's say, a month where I don't fly the 7-4 and I get back in it, it takes me like a couple hours to kind of get everything situated and find the things that I want. And sometimes I miss the flow or the rhythm that I'm doing things. So it's true that after 3 months, you're going to be a little bit rusty, but it comes back pretty quick.
And I'll just get us started.
We'll need that to live.
The Simpsons shows were running forever. That's like the show that will never ever die, it seems like. It's another one of those where you're after quarantine, and I actually had something like this. You know, I fly 3 different versions of the Boeing 747. I fly the Dreamlifter, I fly a normal 747-400. Well, I also fly the passenger and the cargo version of that, and then I fly the 747-8 That Dash 8 has a lot of different buttons and ways to get things that is different than the normal 400, and I hadn't flown one in 2 months. The way that the checklists are done on the Dash 8 is actually electronically, and so if you're not used to flying it, there was a special button that you have to hit in order to pull it up, and I couldn't remember where that button was. I kept looking everywhere, and I could see the captain was looking at me like, what is this guy doing? And I didn't want to ask, because I was like, I know where this button is, and I kept looking everywhere for it. So it's kind of something like that, but you can't lift the gear up while it's on the ground. I talked about that in the Con Air Hollywood versus Reality.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
Welcome to Nigeria. Pulling at the boat with a goat. Tell them each one eats boat. Passing people out of the box. Have to put a stick in.
I don't know how many Africans are here that are following this channel, but I didn't make that meme, but it is pretty funny. Flying in Africa is a little bit like the Wild West. There's obviously a lot of airspace there. There's not a lot of coverage. There's not a lot of radar coverage. Things are done a little bit differently over there. Not that differently, where they're using ramps to try to launch planes off the ground, but you get the idea. Now, I've flown pilots from, I think, 6 out of the 7 different continents, Antarctica being not the people I've flown with. But I will say that I don't think that there's really any difference of where you go to get your flight training as far as how good of a pilot you become. It really comes down to how professional you are, how good you want to be at your craft. So it doesn't matter if you came from Africa and you learned how to fly, or you came from the US and you went to the best school. If you really pursue being a professional and being the very best pilot you can be, it doesn't really matter where you learn to fly.
Pull up. Terrain. Terrain. Terrain.
You would think an animal that is trained to fly would do something better than bombing into the ground like it was his first landing. I'm not really good on birds, so if you know what type of bird that was, let me know. It looked like a flying penguin, which I know those things don't fly. If you aren't familiar with that noise, it's basically a noise that will happen when you're going down too fast and the plane thinks that you might have a collision with the ground. You'll hear that don't sink, things like that. It's basically a safety precaution. Obviously, birds don't have it, and flying penguins or whatever that was don't have it either. But I just don't understand how it hit the ground so hard and bounced up so high. That's pretty impressive.
Hop on a G700 private jet made by this company. It costs $75 million and flies at Mach 0.925.
Gulfstream, obviously.
So a flight to Paris would be fun. Ikran.
It was Concorde.
Nope. Michon.
What is Lear?
Nope. What is a Gulfstream jet?
It's like the first and only time I'd ever get the right answer in Jeopardy. You would think somebody that's smart enough to get on a Jeopardy would know that the Concorde goes over the speed of sound, which is that Mach 0.92 or whatever number they give. That's in reference to the speed of sound. So you'd say 0.92 would be 92% of the speed of sound. And obviously everybody knows the Concorde goes faster than the speed of sound. That's what made it so famous. You would think somebody smart enough to get on Jeopardy would know that if I can figure that out. But if you put me on that show, I would probably get 1 out of 100 faster than the people who are actually on that show, so I won't be too critical of them. I love his face at the end, just like, I don't know what to do right now. I don't know if that video is really a meme as much as it'd be something for like a viral debrief. If you haven't seen the viral debrief series when I explain different viral aviation videos, go check it out. I'll put a link to it right here. I look forward to hearing from you. Until then, keep the blue side up.